Hey everybody, what we're going to be doing today is solving multi-step linear equations, which just basically means we're going to have variables on both sides, and it's going to take a few steps to get the variable by itself. So before we saw stuff such as 2x minus 3 is equal to 13. We could solve this just in a few steps. Well, now we're going to have even more because we might have something like positive 5x. So therefore, we're going to have to move variables, manipulate the equation to get the variables on one side of the equation sign, like we did right here. So let's jump right in and see exactly what we're going to be dealing with. So we got this one right here. And remember, you can always follow along with your homework assignment. Some of these are on there. So what we're going to do first is we are going to distribute this negative to everything inside the parentheses using the distributive property. This is going to be 2 minus 2x minus 2 is equal to, let's distribute here, 2x plus 6 plus x. And what we're going to do is look on each side of the equation sign and see if there's anything we can combine. So I have 2 minus 2. 2 minus 2, those just cancel, and I'm left with negative 2x is equal to, now let's look at this side. Here we have 2x plus x, which would give me 3x plus 6. And now what we're going to do is just isolate the variable. So there's a few things we can do. We can get the subtract 3x or add 2x. I personally like dealing with positive variables, so I'm going to add 2x on both sides, which means I'm going to have 0, because there's nothing left on that side, is equal to 5x plus 6. I'm now going to subtract 6 on both sides, because I'm trying to get the variable all by itself. And I'm going to get negative 6 is equal to 5x, and I'm going to divide both sides by 5. This will give me x is equal to negative 6 over 5. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, well, couldn't we have just subtracted 3x on both sides? Yeah, and actually it would have been a little quicker. It's just my personal preference to keep the variables positive. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this one. Same as the previous ones, is it easier to keep this fraction and distribute? Or would it be easier to do a fraction buster? For me, I like clearing the fraction, so I'm going to multiply each and every term by 5. Remember, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. And while this looks like multiple terms, it's only one. Because of the parentheses, there's a multiplication sign right here. So this is going to cancel, and I'm going to have 2 times the quantity of x minus 2 minus 5 is equal to negative 10 times 1 minus x. And I believe I said negative 5. It's actually negative 10 like I wrote down. So when we go ahead, we're going to distribute this 2 to each and every term to get 2x minus 4 minus 5 is equal to, we're going to distribute this negative 10 to the 1 to get negative 10. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's going to be a positive 10x. Now I'm going to look on each side of the equal sign. So here's my equal sign. I'm going to look at the left side and the right side and see if there's anything I can combine on either side. So right here, I have a negative 4 minus 5, which is negative 9. So that's going to be 2x minus 9 is equal to, now there's nothing I can combine here, so it's going to be negative 10 plus 10x. And like I said before, I like to keep them positive, the variables. So what I'm going to do is minus 2x on both sides, which will give me negative 9 is equal to negative 10 plus 8x. And then I'm going to add 10 on both sides to get 1 is equal to 8x. I'm going to divide both sides by 8 to get x equals 1 over 8. Now, even though my answer is a fraction, that's okay. It would just no different than any other number for being a solution. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this next one. I always like choosing the one where we have to distribute a negative, because sometimes students get confused and they don't know what to do with that. This is essentially like having a negative 1 right there. And we're going to distribute that everything inside the parentheses. We're also going to distribute this one here. So I'm going to have 13 minus negative 1 times 2c is negative 2c minus 2, because I distribute the negative, is equal to 2c plus 4 plus 3c. Now, same idea. We want to look on the left and the right side of the equal sign. There's kind of like a little divide right here. And I want to see if there's anything I can combine on the left side. So I have 13 minus 2c minus 2. I can combine the 13 minus 2, which is 11, minus 2c. Equals, now let's see if there's anything I can combine over here, which I can. It's the 2c and the 3c. So that's 5c plus 4. So what we're going to do now is we can add 2c on both sides. And we can also subtract 4 on both sides. So what I'm trying to do is get the variables on one side of the equation sign, and I'm trying to get the whole numbers on the other side. So these are going to cancel, and I'm left with 7c. And these are going to cancel, and I will be left with 7. So I'm left with 7 equals 7c. I divide both sides by 7, which will give me c is equal to 1. So if I were to plug 1 back into this equation, I would get a simplified version that is a true statement. All right, so obviously this one looks a little tough because there's lots and lots and lots of fractions. What I always tell the students is always look for an LCM. So if I look at the multiplication tables of 2, it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. The next one, the multiplication table of 3, so it'd be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. And then if I looked at 4, it would be 4, 8, 12, 16. And if I looked at 12, it would be 12, 24, 36. And you want to see if there's a number that they have in common. And they do. They all have 12 in common. Therefore, that's the LCM, and you want to multiply each and every term by 12. This one's going to look a little different than the ones we've seen previously, but let's go ahead and look at that. So we're going to multiply each and every term by 12. And what I always start is I don't want to distribute this right away. I like to see if I can just cancel those fractions. So if I have 12, and remember a fraction bar is just divided by, so if I have 12 divided by 4, that's 3. So I'm going to have 3 times the quantity of 1 minus 4x, minus 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 1 times 5 is 5. And that is equal to 12 divided by 3 is 4. I'm going to have x plus 3 left in there. And then right here, I'm going to have 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Let me just go ahead and move this down really quick. So I'm going to have plus 6. Now, if I gave you this as your first problem, it might be a little bit more familiar on how to solve this. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to distribute this 3 to get 3 minus 12x minus 5 is equal to 4x plus 12 plus 6. Same idea as the previous one. Can we combine anything here? And we can. 3 minus 5 is negative 2 minus 12x is equal to 4x plus 18. Now, as I said before, I like to keep my variables positive, so I'm actually going to add 12x on both sides. This will get the variables on one side of the equal sign, because they cancel out here, which means I'm going to have to subtract 18 on both sides, because I want to get the variables all by themselves. So that means I will have 16x is equal to negative 20. And then all I'm going to do is divide both sides by 16 to get x is equal to negative 20 over 16. You want to see if you can simplify this, and we actually can. If we divide the numerator and the denominator by 2, that would give me negative 10 over 8. And then I can actually reduce it one more time if I divide by 2 again. That would be negative 5 over 4. So my simplified version, or answer I should say, is x is equal to negative 5 over 4. And that is your final answer. All right, and let's go ahead and just look at one inequality. This may also be on your homework. And all we want to do is go ahead and it's a multi-step inequality now. Same idea, I'm going to use a fraction buster by multiplying each and every term by 10, because that's my LCM. So I'm going to multiply all these by 10. So I'm going to have negative 40x minus, this is going to reduce to 2. 2 times 2 is 4, is less than, these reduce, 1 plus 10x. I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides of the inequality, and I'm also going to add 40x to both sides of the inequality. This will cancel these, and I'll be left with negative 5 is less than 50x, and I'm going to divide both sides by 50 to get x is greater than negative 5 over 50, which reduces to x is greater than negative 1/10. All right, so since x is greater than negative 1/10, if here is 0, here's positive 1/10, here is negative 1/10, and it is greater than negative 1/10, I'm going to have an open circle and shade everything to the right. All right, that's it for today's instructional videos. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me or your teachers. I hope you guys have a great day.